Hey everybody, today is the 12th of December, so it's just 13 days away from Christmas, but it's also just 19 days until Brexit comes into full force. So, as I'm sure you're well aware, the UK voted to leave the European Union, and for almost the last year now, we've been in a transition period where we have the same rules, the same trade agreements with the UK, but that's about to all change on the 1st of January 2021. So, as I was saying, it's the 12th of December now, and we're still really not sure what the picture is going to look like. I'm just going to show you some headlines just to get a flavour of what's happening at the moment. So, there's negotiations going on at the moment, so we're still not sure if we're going to have a deal or a no deal. There's one thing we're very sure of, and that on the 1st of January 2021, the UK is going to leave the customs union. So, you as a business, there are certain things you need to do in order to get ready for this. I'm sure most businesses already have a lot of the bulk work of this done, but a lot of companies have probably put it to the bottom of the list because obviously they have to deal with things like coronavirus as well at the moment. So it's understandable if you're behind and you're only coming to getting ready for this now. And you assumed that the politicians have all sorted it all out, but there's some things that you need to start doing. I'm going to take you through 5 steps that you can do right now to get ready. The very first thing you should do as a business is get an ERE number. An ERE number stands for Economic Operators Registration Identification Number. So this is essentially an identifier for tax collectors in, say, Europe and the UK, so they can identify who the goods that are imported and exported across the borders belong to. So there are 3 different types of ERA numbers, and I'm going to take you through each of those now. So there's one for business in Great Britain. So to trade goods with the EU, you will need an ERA number that starts with GB. However, if your business only moves goods between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland and nowhere else, it will usually not require an ERA number. And there's a separate one again for Northern Ireland. So business moving goods to or from Northern Ireland. If you move goods to or from Northern Ireland, you will need a second ERE number that starts with XI. This includes moving goods between Northern Ireland and the rest of the UK, and moving goods between Northern Ireland and non-EU countries. So business making declarations or getting custom decisions in EU countries. If your business makes declarations or gets customs decisions in an EU country, you will need an ERE number for a customs authority in the EU country where you submit your declaration on request of your first decision. So basically, there's 3 different numbers. See which one applies to you. Look at your supply chain, see where your goods move, and then you'll know straight away what number you need. And how you apply for it is through your tax authority. So, for instance, in England, it's the HMRC. In Ireland, it's Revenue. Look up your national tax collector's website, and they will have an application process for it. Your ERE number then will need to be quoted on your customs declarations in the future. So get registered for this as soon as you can, so you don't want to have delays at the ports because you don't have the correct information. You just add lots of cost to yourself, because there could be additional cost for storage if it's kept there longer just because of processing issues. So get on this straight away. This takes me on to step 2, which is to find the Tariff code that applies to your product. So TARIC is a database in the EU which lists all the kind of the products and goods and all the rules and regulations that apply to each separate good. So you'll need to find the specific code that relates to your product, and this will also need to be quoted on your customs declarations. So if there's any, say, tariffs or there's customs or anything like that apply to your product, you will find it all here in this website. So one business that I do myself is I sell golf balls internationally. So I'm just going to try and find here on this website the Tariff code relating to golf balls. So let's go here into this website and search. I'll link this in the description also below, so you'll be able to have a look at it afterwards. So let's see how long this takes to find my code. So I'm just going to click on this browse section on the website. And I know my golf balls, I think, are in section XX. So this is all the different kind of variants of goods here. So mine is in miscellaneous. I'm going to click on that, and this further brings in a drop down of more specific types. So mine is in chapter 95, which includes sports requisites. I'm going to click on that. And here we see equipment. Okay, here we see equipment related to sports. So I'm going to click on this again. And this further breaks down, so there's a lot of different sections, obviously. So golf clubs and other equipment. Then we're going to click on balls. So now I've also added into my destination where I usually send them. So I'm going to hit retrieve measures. So you need your code and your destination, and this will then bring up all of the details and the tariffs, etc., that relate to your product. So it's a really handy site just to see what the regulations are around your product.
Okay, step number 3 is Incoterms. So with Brexit, there's going to be a lot of additional costs. So this will mean that you need to relook at your Incoterms. So your Incoterms basically are an agreement between you and your customer or your supplier around who bears the risks and responsibilities and who bears most of the costs. So with Brexit, there's going to be additional costs. So you're going to need to work out who is going to bear these additional costs. So it may need to actually rip up your previous agreements with your suppliers or your customers and redo them. So it's best to just get onto them as soon as possible and to relook at them, because you don't want to get into disputes as soon as Brexit comes into full force. So as you know, there are kind of 11 different types of Incoterms. For anybody who's not really sure on what Incoterms are and the different types, so there's kind of 11 different rules internationally accepted. So it kind of varies obviously by industry and what kind of product you're importing or exporting. So I'm going to give a link here down to. I'm going to give a link in the description explaining basically each of these 11. So if you want to see any more information on these. So it's the same for anybody in the e-commerce space. They'll need to know what the Incoterms are, but maybe not in that kind of language. But they'll need to know what the total cost is, total cost of shipping, and the total cost of the product, obviously, and any handling fees, so they can actually calculate what the full price is going to be to them, because they might incur customs and VAT on top of what they're paying. So you need to really state this clearly on your website now going forward of what the additional fees and taxes that they could face. So step 4 is to consider getting supports. So for companies that are most affected by Brexit, there's a lot of supports for, say, grants and loans and different kind of schemes to help companies get over this tough period. So for instance, in Ireland, you can get a 9k grant for upskilling your current employees on, say, how to do declarations and work with the software, etc. So 9k is a lot and really can help you. Also, there are grants for getting Brexit ready. So if you come up with a plan for how to deal with Brexit, you can get up to, I think, 5k in Ireland for that. And there's similar ones in the UK also. And say, for instance, you can also get a mentor in your local enterprise office, which could be quite helpful to have somebody to deal with all your kind of queries as you have them. And then something you may want to consider also is whether you are going to deal with it all in-house or you want to outsource it to a customs agent or a freight forwarder. So this should be something you should consider. It might be easier for you to completely outsource it to somebody who has expertise, because these guys have been preparing for this for the last year now, and they'll know what the score is, and they'll be able to help you seamlessly transition into the new norm, I suppose, after Brexit comes into full force. So it's something you should definitely consider. A final step you should consider is looking at your cash flows into 2021. So the pound has continued to slide in the last few weeks while negotiations have been ongoing. So we still don't know what the final result of these negotiations will be, but it might be that could be a permanent devaluation of the pound, where it might go into like parity with the euro. So you might need to look into getting some sort of hedging set up in place to offset any risk posed to your business by this. Obviously, you're going to lose a lot of money if you're dealing with massive currency swings, so you want to offset that risk as much as possible. And also, cash flow wise, looking into next year, there's a change in VAT coming also with Brexit. So previously, say if I imported something from China, I would immediately have to pay the VAT and customs as soon as the goods are imported. But now you can actually defer the VAT until you do your usual return, say your bi-monthly return. This is something being brought in across the board in Ireland and the UK, and so it's going to be useful. It should help your cash flow a little bit, in the fact that you don't have to pay up front straight away when you get your goods in. So hope you guys found this information useful. I'm going to leave kind of a bit of a summary here now of all the 5 steps. And so best of luck with everything. And if you have any questions or anything like that, make sure to leave it in the comments, and I will try and get some answers to them.